this is why you've entered into these debates. And they're all based on individuals who have a different belief system. It wouldn't matter if they had the belief system, a similar belief system that you have. All you're doing is going back and forth with your opinions. The only thing the spirit world, the beyond world, tells us to do, and that is to connect people so that they know that the spirit world exists. Without that knowledge, that you have given them proof that you can talk to their departed, right, and see them and describe them so that they know that what you're saying is true and real because they knew these people, right, then you're not proving anything about the spirit world to them. So you're just talking about stuff that's been written up as far as they're concerned. That's what the spirit world is about. That's what the beyond world, that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's our job here, that's our role, to allow people to understand that the spirit world, that when you cross over, you don't die. So therefore, once someone knows that, that's when they have to take responsibility for all their thoughts, deeds and actions. And if they choose not to, then that's their loss. But that's the only way to get people to understand that they have got some thinking to do. Right? That's what the spiritual journey is about. It's not about debating common ground. It's not about arguing different religions, because religions they're not real. No religion in the spirit world. There's no need for religion. There's no room for religion. If religion existed in the beyond world, it would be a disaster. Doesn't that make some sense to you? To get people interested in their golden path, you have to prove to them that the spirit world is alive. And the only way to do that is to present that spirit world to them so that they can connect with whoever it is that is there in their life, that was in their life, so that they know that that person is not dead, that that person has just, transited to another level, right? And what occurs there. Your journey is to enlighten yourself. And by way of enlightening yourself is to connect with the spirit world, right? That's it. You have to be a medium, and you have to be able to give that information to anybody who you're talking to, and they have to validate it. So when they validate it, that you can see their brother, father, mother, grandparent, whoever's crossed over, and that you can describe them or give them a name, then they know that you are actually looking at something, right? Something that they can't see, something that the religions cannot see. Right? The religions don't teach this stuff. They teach it in a way by saying about spirits and things like that, but they don't allow anybody to understand that, they're not mediums. The spirit world does not argue that stuff. It's bullshit. All of it. So they can't do this stuff, and that's where they shoot themselves in the foot, because they can't describe or do any of this stuff. But in every religion, in every walk of life, there are mediums, and that doesn't mean that there's not some who belong to the church, and I'm talking about priests or monks or whatever. Throughout all those religions, there has to be some of them who have got this, an understanding that they've joined these religions and they're not allowed to talk about them. Right? So they've lost their way. Because if you believe in the spirit world, you wouldn't want to know them. You wouldn't even partake in a conversation with them, because you know that it'd be false. yes, it is okay to speak to people, but not everybody's at the place where they want to, or where they can, or where the light bulb, say for instance, has gone off, where they want to accept that there's a higher form of us, right, that exists, that's alive. And, you know, so I just talk to them on their level. You know, you have to be able to be a medium. You know, that's what it's about. And not everybody is going to be a medium in this lifetime, right? You have to earn that by accepting that the beyond world does have no constrictions, right? It does not have religions. The golden rule. It's not the form of the golden rule like as we explain it to unto others. It's an understanding that nobody, because everybody's connected by their soul, by their telepathic understanding, their telepathic connection, right? So everybody's on the same page. It doesn't matter what level you're on, right? It's that everybody understands. When you cross over, when you first cross over, you come from all different walks of life. You go there for healing. You are not in the highest levels when you cross over. You have to earn that. You have to walk in everybody else's shoes before you can reach the understanding of what the meaning of life is about. You know, when you cross over, those people who are not ready to be on the second or third or fourth level, they do not have access or freedom. They still connect up, but they are blocked from certain things because they can't be trusted. You have to be trusted to not fall by the wayside. Everybody comes into this world born good, right? Because they have the knowledge, they have the soul memory of the beyond world within them, okay? Mm-hmm. Right? And what happens is that they're given their conscience, their brain, and their soul to work with together, okay? Not everybody, right, has journeyed or has learnt in the lifetime. And what it means, the golden rule, what it actually means is that unless you can actually be in another person's body, you will never understand exactly what they are feeling or what they're thinking. And that's why you come back here, so that you can experience every single thing that you are not learning, right? Walk a calm path, you walk a different path. You just know that all you have to do is to allow people to understand that the spirit world is alive. It's not a dead place. That these people, these who have left this planet, are just in transient, right, at whatever level they have achieved, and that they will come back because they haven't learnt all their lessons either. Okay? The ones who have completed more of a journey rise to a higher level. So let's call them 1 to 13, right? Okay? Mm-hmm. Right? And 1 is the first crossover. It's where you go. And if you haven't learned your lessons, from there, you come back here. Right?
Doesn't that suck?
Well, the thing is that you can learn your lessons very quickly. That you have to have faith in that the beyond world is the only way to live, because there's no trouble there. You know, you have talked often about bad spirits and things like that, and I've said to you, when I know what's in someone's head, right, and I know that they want to do harm to me, right, you know, in the beyond world where everybody connects into each other's heads, nobody can get away with that. Only here, if the other person doesn't know that you can read their head, then they think that they can get away with anything, right? That's why we walk different paths, because we understand that at the end of the journey, we're going to get away with nothing, so we walk a straight line. We do not veer off that line, because it makes us sick to do so, physically sick to do so. Pull away from those people who are just interested in having debate for the sake of having their opinions, and you have to connect with the people who want to understand about the spirit world, who have a yearning to know about the higher existence, about what it means, and about how they can get there, how they can achieve that, and how they can have peace here, and then, you know, eventually get to stay there or choose to come back and do work, because those of us who are mediums, right, we have all the other gifts. We're empaths, we're healers, we're psychics, we can look into past, future, present, everything. We can look at anything around, we can look into people's heads, right, but unless you're a medium, you can't have all those other gifts. Have some of them that they're not connecting you fully, because you're not allowed to see fully into the beyond world unless you are a medium. People have partial medium where they can sense, right? They can sense something about somebody's relative or whatever, but they can't give any other information. We are part of a huge cosmos of people. Right? Just higher enlightened, less enlightened, in between enlightened, and in different countries, on different planets, right? Because they have to learn things, and some planets are very highly evolved. Most of them are very highly evolved. They just choose to live at different stages, right? Okay, well, you're pretty much on the right track there, okay? But there are so many others who have chosen to live their life on a particular understanding that they don't have the problems there anymore, because they all are connected by the understanding of the higher levels. So they have already passed all their lessons, right? They recognise and understand fully what it is about, that they choose to live in a particular, call it a century, like you do here on Earth, a particular way of life. It's something that they are from, right? Or it's something that they choose. It's like, you know, what do you call those people who used to wear the bonnets and they'd live out in the bloody paddocks there tending? Oh, what were they called? They're from the Germanic races. They were through Europe and then they went to America. Oh, what do they call them? You know, they all dress the same and they don't drive cars and that.
Oh, like Quakers?
Quakers, right?
Yeah.
So there'll be some, you know, like Quakers, they live in their particular style, right? They've chosen to stay in that period.
Yeah, that's what I've seen on other planets, that they have their own culture.
They stay in their period. It's a period that they have looked at, they like the ways of it, but they live as a culture, but not with the default that's in that culture. Right?
Yes.
Because the Quakers had a default as well. They didn't choose to move forward, and yet they were extremely bright people, right? But they still didn't have full understanding, but they probably had a better understanding than what the bloody Mormons have. Well, one religion stems from another, but it's what the community as a whole sticks to. And the Mormons haven't stuck to what they've added and subtracted and then added again and managed to sort of sway, like the Catholic Church, like all these other churches, right? But they had their egos with it as well, because they refused some things that were common sense that the Beyond World would have put to them and said, well, you know, like, you have to adjust because you live in a society, right? So you have to move and shake and turn and roll. You can still, but within your culture, right? And they refuse to do that, and that's why they will slowly die out. Right? But they really had a good idea of what they were doing, right? There was always a gentleness, but you still had your crazies in amongst them too, right? But that's how other worlds are. They live in their particular era. Doesn't mean they're less enlightened, but to be enlightened means you have to absolutely understand what it would feel like to be going through what somebody else is going through. And unless you have all the talents and unless you're a true empath, you cannot understand that, because a true empath absolutely feels every single thing that another person feels. And so to step out of the boundaries of what the spirit world teaches, and that is purity of love, right? You will be sick. You will be physically sick. Okay? And that's when you know, because you cannot cope with the physical world here. You know, you're so connected that you cannot move out of that. And somebody else has hurt themselves, or they have a pain, or they have a headache, or they have a scratch, you will feel it. You will live that in your body. That's an empath.
Yeah.
Being empathetic to somebody else, that's different. Alright? You can't turn it off. That's part of you. That's part of you. As long as you have a nervous system. Right? That's why we don't stray. That's why we don't cross the boundaries. That's why we have a different understanding. Because we are what we are. Right? And you do not stray, do anything bad. And I know that they can't. And if you are connected with the spirit world in that way, you will know that they can't also. It's impossible. The ones who are back here, they're the beings who have fallen. They've fallen out of the spirit world back down here because they haven't learnt their lessons. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? When you think about those beings, what, have they lost all their powers as well? If there are high-ups who have been left here because they rebelled or they decided that they didn't want to follow the rules, right? And they got all their powers. The first thing they'd be doing, right? They'd be corrupt, right? They'd be corrupt with powers. They'd be going back there and taking over, just like they do here. But I know that there's no such thing. The spirits walk right next to us. Look how many people still understand that they have something going on in them, that they feel something, that they're connected with something other than just here, and they stay true to that faith. They don't do the wrong thing, right? And the ego covers a lot of territory, you know that, right? Mm-hmm. They live the purest truth that they can possibly live here, right? In amongst the society that is so atrociously sick, right? And they still manage to stay true to it. Now, if there were high-ups, the first place they'd want to take over and put a stop to that, if they were willing to do all the trouble that they do here, would be to fell the Beyond World high-ups. Because they would be their arch enemy, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Why would they want to be here when they can be there? Doesn't that sound like a load of rubbish to you. It's so confusing and so all over the place. To me, that's what men have made up. That's why there's so much trouble here, because from the truth, they've concocted so much confusion, right? And, is any of this stuff true? Right? And I know it's not. And you should understand that yourself, that all of these stories, they don't even sound like they make sense. I'm telling you, the only proof is, the only thing that can absolutely prove anything is when a medium can prove that people who have passed away from this world live in another place, and they walk amongst us and around us, but not that they don't necessarily have to be right next to us, right? They can bring themselves in when you need them. They'll come in closer. If you don't need them so much, that you can still feel their energy from millions of miles away.
Yeah.
That's the proof. That's the only proof. Everything else is just a load of bloody hokum.
Yeah.
It's made up.
Yeah.
Only one proof.
Everything that we do and say is all recorded, and that's all connected with the Akashic knowledge, so that every moment, everything we do is recorded, and every moment in time, that memory is stored, and all our lifetimes are stored.
It's a library.
Yeah.
The Akashic records are purely and simply a humongous library.
Yeah.
And when you go to a certain level in the beyond world, you can go and look at who is the original character of all these different names, and how many years before the Sumerians was the earth already in existence. Well then, why would they come here, a whole mob of them, and why are they all wiped out? The coercion of beings, right, goes a long way further back than the Sumerian time, right? That's, if you want to talk about one lot of people having sex with another lot, the highest levels had sex with a level that wasn't supposed to be in the real Garden of Eden. I mean, for God's sake, they've found remains of people now that they have dated to more than 50, nearly 100 million years ago, and they know that the existence of this world is that people were on it a long time before that. You yourself have spoken already about how mixed up and what a load of bullshit has been written throughout history by one and the other. And that doesn't mean that back through the ages there's not a lot of people who have seen things that somebody else hasn't seen. Now when they write it or they talk it or they draw a picture of it or whatever, right? Of course it's connected, but it still comes through from the beyond world. It's supposed to help people here to connect up and understand that they're part of something bigger than here.
I agree to
but
that.
Somebody comes along and makes some bullshit story out of it to scare a whole lot of the bloody silly sheep that go running hither and thither so that they can control them. You talk about conspiracy theory. Well, conspiracy theory has been going on for a very long time. It broke open when the Garden of Eden decided to mix together, right? Because some just happen to fancy each other, right? And it shouldn't have been. You can't have a perfect specimen, right? Procreate with something that's not. It'd be like you having sex with an orangutan, what would you produce? There'd be a default in it, wouldn't there? It's just straightforward. It goes back, and there's no such thing as the Elohim come in the time of Samaria to change things, right? They already made that mistake. They weren't going to make it again. They do not do that. That is stuff that's in the movies. That is stuff that's written up. That is stuff that's put there for confusion. They are not that irresponsible. What would be the point of me being able to see into the beyond world if the beyond world was so corrupt? What would be the point if I was to accept that sort of rubbish? Right?
Yeah.
And I can't accept it because I do see into the beyond world. I have never had a bad egg from the beyond world visit me or talk to me or show themselves. But from here, there's plenty of bad eggs, plenty of them, and I've seen many of them. And I've had to fight with many of them, and I've looked at what they've done to this planet. And yet I still don't claim that I have every single answer, because I'm here and I'm not allowed to have all the secrets either until I go back home, because at any given time something could happen and I might give one of those secrets away. I'm entrusted because I'm true to that, the spiritual understanding, right? But I don't, and I know that there are things that exist in the beyond world that are not privileged for any here, because someone's going to take it or do something with it.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. So we come here as innocent, but we come with our talents, right? We have an understanding. And it's religions who have put all that stuff out. It's religions and superstitions and stuff like that to control and frighten and put fear in, and to turn people away, to turn them away from the spiritual journey. All that stuff, right? Thinking, am I part of that? These archaeologicals, a lot of them, they've had to backtrack and say, well, we were incorrect. They backtracked in their process of dating. There's so much here that is still a mystery. It can only be brought out when the human race is ready to accept it. Those missing links, they're available, but the human world is not ready for the truth. Right? If they had, if the majority, can you imagine all those who are on their big ego trip, if they had any proper information, or found something? That's why they're given all this technology and all these hints and all these marvellous wonders, so that they can progress the world, the human world, into the understanding that this comes from a good place. And what have they done with it? They've done nothing but cause trouble, one after the other. Every single thing that's gifted from the beyond world by way of passing it on to someone here who whether it be by dream or by message or by some sort of form, it's being used to destroy the world instead of for good.
Yeah.
Have you not seen that? Every single bit of advancement has been used to destroy the planet further, to destroy people further.
Yeah, I know.
People are in a worse state now than they were 50, 60 years ago, 300 years ago. Look what is happening with all our knowledge and our technology and scientific data and all this searching of this, that and the other. For God's sakes, we're going backwards. People are turning into beasts, right? So how can you believe that rubbish, what is written up in those books?
Yeah, all the ancient architecture, you can see that it was obviously, an operating system. Like, you can see that this stuff was alive, and it was energetically charged, and it would, they were able to connect with this planet with another planet which had the same pyramid structures and things. So that part is pretty clear. I have a feeling that there's something has gone wrong in regards to time, because I feel like people in the future screw things up in this world so much that people go back into the past to leave certain things behind to warn the future generation of something that went bad concerning this, what we'll know as AI. Like, I don't think AI is a bad thing, artificial intelligence, but I can see how it could be abused, and I have a feeling that
well, you know how it's abused just by what I told you. People are given. Why do you think that some people they invent something? Why does it have to be them and not you? Right? It's because that's what they've chosen in their journey, or they're responsible enough, or for whatever reason, right? There are plenty of data that show that there have been people who've received information, right? Well, they haven't, not that data, but they've come up with some sort of thing. Now, a government or somebody rich has wanted to buy that off them, to own them, right? And they've said no. They've said no. No matter what happens, there's not enough money on this planet that they can be convinced to part with that thing. And it just goes to scratch, right?
Yeah.
Okay? But most people can be bought by money. And that's what happens here, right? But all that technology, all that information, that, every bit of good stuff that's being given to progress, to help the human race evolve, to help it be made a better world, it has been taken and used to crush, kill and destroy. Right? The technology that is given, the advancement that is given, is only given to a certain degree. If it's misused, the beyond world will not give the rest of the information. And that's why they have all the technology, but when something goes wrong, they don't have the answers. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the answers because they have to prove that they can be trusted to not misuse this technology, and they don't prove it. But that doesn't stop the beyond world in trying to help the human world to understand what it's about. They never stop trying to help that enlightenment situation to occur. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Okay? So they keep providing. It's up to the human world to take that, what is given, and see it for the gift that it is, and not misuse it, not to secret it, not to hide it, not that a government can take it or a rich one who can afford it, and not share it with everybody else, right? And this is why technology doesn't work. It only works to a degree. As soon as something hiccups, they don't have the remedy. Have you not noticed?
Yeah. Funny.
Have you not noticed? They can't give anyone, they can't live anywhere else. Doesn't matter how many satellites and spaceships and everything else that they send everywhere. Why is it that they're not getting anywhere?
Yeah.
Right? Because they've not been given the rest of the information. And anybody who's got it and who understands the spiritual situation is not going to tell them. They're going to keep their mouths shut because they know that it'll be misused. The beyond world governs who gives this out and where it stops. And that's how I have my faith, right? Because I know that's how it works. Because with everything that we have learned, with all the knowledge that is supposed to be here, that we're provided with, the way that we all can connect up with each other by every medium, why is everything going backwards? People still they're not taught about the spiritual world, the spiritual journey. They're not taught about the plain, simple, the simplicity of it. What's been put in its place? Still more churches, still more garbage. There's so many good people, but they don't go about, they have their understanding. They walk their path because they know their individual journey is important to their enlightenment, to them reaching and attaining a higher level. It's about recognizing what the purity of the spiritual journey is about. And they know that the only way that they can achieve a spiritual journey is to understand what they're supposed to be learning. They're not on an ego trip anymore. They're finished with that. I'm not interested in making a big name for myself. I'm interested in doing the job that I was sent here to do, and that is to enlighten people by the most gentlest way, because that's the only way you can get through to them here, by helping them, by getting them to understand that there is something that's very loving by the experience that they have when they meet you. Something in there. Some know it's an energy. Some just know that it's something. And they don't want to leave. And they want to talk. They want to ask more and more and more because they've involved themselves. Now, when they leave that energy, right, they fall a little bit. Some fall, some go out there, and they think about what's being said. But each one of them is touched that little bit. And, and I haven't forced them. I haven't said anything except shown them that there is a purity of love, and just how lucky they are and how much goodness there is within them. All they have to do is take it on board and go with it, right?
Yep.
It is not about debating. I don't sit there and debate with them. I don't argue with them, right? If they want to argue with me, or they want to ask something that's a bit odd, right, I can give them the best and most simplest answer that they can understand, to give them and ask them to look at both sides of what they're asking, to use some simple common sense to tap into their inner soul, to their intuition, and go with what that intuition is guiding them to, right? That's what I teach them, to understand how to recognize what that gut instinct is telling them. Because until they recognize that, they can't even begin their spiritual journey. They can't begin it. You have to know, you have to be able to prove to yourself that you are getting your information correctly first. Until you can prove that to yourself, right, then how can you achieve a higher level? Right, now, it has to end there. I'll talk to you perhaps one day next week.
Okay, I appreciate it, so yeah.
Yeah, but just when you're talking to your people, try and stay calm, alright? Just stay calm.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, okay. Alright then, check you later.